Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, sir. So, we will be presenting an overview of the Philippine disability sector, focusing on access to social and public services, education, employment, and civic participation. As we explore this critical area, we will analyze the barriers faced by individuals with disabilities and the progress made towards inclusion. Our goal is to highlight the current state of accessibility, identify gaps in services, and discuss the implications for policy and practice. Understanding these dynamics is essential for fostering a more equitable society that empowers all citizens, particularly those with disabilities. So again, our title is Philippine Disability Sector Research, an initial analysis of access to social and public services, education, work and employment, and civic participation and governance. So the authors is a group by Beyond Education. The date of publication is last October 2021, and the source is from the Asia Foundation, located in Greenfield District, Mandaluyong City.
The main issue problems in relation to EDI. Number one, lack of accessibility of PWD to public and social services, health and rehabilitation, quality education, and equitable work, employment, and full participation to civic and governance. The main issue or the problem in relation to EDI, we have employment discrimination, the civic participation. The key findings or the conclusion about EDI, we have here the findings point to a significant gap between policy and practice in promoting EDI for PWD in the Philippines. While law exists to support their inclusion, inconsistent implementation leaves many PWD marginalized. Systematic barriers in education, employment, public and social service, and civic participation persist due to weak law enforcement, lack of resources, and inadequate trainings. Web addressing these issues requires stronger enforcement for persons with disabilities law, better infrastructure, and improved awareness. Analysis of content implication and applications. The context and evidences. Number one, inaccessible infrastructure, means of transportation and communication. We have lack of comprehensive social protection, limited capacity of frontline workers, lack of awareness and understanding of rights, and lack of inclusive attitudes and perceptions. The evidences to support the claims about EDI practice to address the existing barrier. Letter A, the research focused on documenting and exploring three components in the system. One, policies. Number two, the implementation of programs promoting inclusion. Number three, the role of stakeholders and duty bearers in upholding the rights of the person with disabilities.
Letter B, the practical implications of the findings relating from the UNESCO documents is that the education is not a luxury but a fundamental human right. And also, on what Dr. Edison Fermins discussed to us about the big ideas of how relevant this research topic to inclusion, diversity, equity, access, and sustainability to get the full and equal enjoyment of everyone. Number three, author's recommendation to address existing barriers. The National Council on Disability Affairs, or NCDA, is to conduct a knowledge, attitudes, practices study for duty bearers in a key government agency or on the national. The next one is the Department of Education, or DepEd, is to review the teacher professional development and identify possible gaps and ways to strengthen the content and delivery of professional development training for general education and special education teachers on terms of education. And government agency must conduct a self-evaluation of their agencies in relation to their mandates to see how they can further strengthen their role as duty bearers. What do you agree or disagree with in the study and why?
We agree that EDI in the Philippines context needs to be strengthened, where laws and act needs to be amended and be aligned with the UNCRPD. Exciting policies, Existing policies should be intensified and strictly implemented. Faithful implementation of the programs are initiatives to inclusions of different government agency and non-government organization will lead into the attainment of these big ideas.
Here are the questions we believe remain unanswered based on the case study conducted. Number one, are the current laws sufficient to ensure that educational institutions are accessible to children with disabilities? Number two, what additional measures might be needed? Do companies genuinely embrace the hiring of adults with disabilities despite existing laws? And what barriers might still prevent their employment? And lastly, what is society's overall attitude toward individuals with disabilities and how does this impact their inclusion and acceptance?
And for the last question, how does this case or research impact your understanding of the topic? This research serves as an eye opener that despite our existing laws, we continue to struggle with the acceptance of EDI in our education systems. Additionally, the global challenges faced by the PWDs are present in the Philippines, but they are further complicated by the country's unique socioeconomic, cultural, and infrastructural conditions. For example, while stigma and discrimination are common challenges globally, the research highlights how these are exacerbated by poverty, limited healthcare, and a lack of political representation specific to the Philippine context. And that would be all. Thank you.